Yeah, no, that's a real good point, I think. There's so many people, if they have large amounts of potential and, um, you're a good, like you said about managers, they're not necessarily leaders, right? Ideally, a company wants leaders, don't they?
Mm,
But ultimately, who spots the leaders? It's your manager,
exactly.
right? So this is where politics comes into it, with about, oh, I don't want him outshining me or her
Exactly.
because they're
That's
free. Do you know what I mean?
that's where it goes from
That's when it
personal to
starts getting
professional.
personal.
Yeah.
And that's why that stress
Yeah.
comes in at work,
Yeah.
because people are like, that person don't like me, and there's nothing I can do about it.
But look, there's you know, I'm pretty much guaranteed that no one goes to work just to have fun. Like, we're all at work for a reason, aren't we?
Yeah.
We all go to work to put food on the table. There is a fine line of, you could take it personally, but when it comes to the crunch, if you take it personal every time, you're going to end up with no food on your table, because you're going to either walk out or get fired. So
Thing is, what if it's in your nature? Like you were on about earlier, about
again,
everyone wanting to like you, everyone like,
but this is why you
making
can't.
everyone happy.
This is why you can't.
You can't.
You
You
cannot.
can't. Not in that side of the fence.
No.
If it's your own business, it's one thing. But ultimately,
I disagree slightly, Shane, because I guarantee at least half a dozen times you've probably bit your lip because you've on a job with a customer. You can't guarantee that you're going to like every single customer. So even though you're your own boss, you're still working for a client, aren't you? And if they're knobheads, or they don't like how close you've parked to their lawn or something like that, like, you just got to go, sorry, like,
sorry, I'm in the car. I've had some terrible clients over the years, but I've been quite lucky. A lot of business owners, like in the roofing industry, would tell you the same thing. When you go and meet a client, you got to sell yourself. So you're selling you. Well, a lot of them don't care. They're like, yeah, we did a job, this much, this much, this much.
yeah,
Take it or don't. No one really cares. I don't care. I'll move on to the next job. Whereas I wanted to win every job,
yeah,
because I wanted them to see that I was genuine and I would look after the house.
yeah,
Like, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
But there's a lot of road cowboys in there who, are rough.
You did it, and every time you had those conflicts at work, I don't know about you, but when it comes to the point where I was like, I'm going to bite in a minute, I just thought about my kids. And I was like, well, if I do bite and I am taking it personal, my kids will suffer because there won't be food on the table. My kids give me great strength.
Let's touch on that, because I was lucky where it was my business.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who are in jobs and, they can't move on to the next job just like that.
Yeah.
They have to bite their lips. So the manager's giving them crap all day. I don't think many people can really say, oh, I absolutely love my job. It's absolutely amazing. Most people have to, like, oh, my job doing my head in. What's the old saying? Like, they live for the weekend.
Yeah.
Now, those people, all people, I would say, to an extent, what gets them through? Now, so when you were having a bit of trouble at work, or tough time at work, and it's doing your head in, it's stressful, whatever, what was getting you, like, what was in the back of your head? Like, thinking, it's okay because I've got to do this because of, was it the kids?
It was the kids. Not just work, personal life as well. When I've been at my lowest, it's just the thought of the kids that they give me Superman strength. They really do. They get me through.
Let's go back further.
Okay.
Let's go back 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
When you was out with cancer,
Yeah.
earning a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And you knew, was it enough? Was it enough for you to, like, support the family? Like, what was the stresses there?
The thing is, like, if I review that, even push it back slightly before the family, this conversation now would have been totally different. Because if something would have annoyed me back then, I was obviously younger, full of testosterone, and didn't have the kids. So I didn't have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
It was just,
Think different, do you?
yeah. And someone annoyed me, I wasn't professional. I wouldn't talk to them like a man. We're talking like me, yeah. And
Does that come of age, would you say?
yeah, there's a lot of things that, like a lot of life lessons learned, both professionally and personally, and try and sometimes entwine them both. You know, do you know what? I resolve that. So I do the coaching as well, coach the football. And there's even sometimes where I've resolved a conflict. I'm like, I could do that at work, or I could do that at home with the kids. And I think equally, you can take stuff that you learn at work, apply it to your personal life, and vice versa as well.
Branding.
Yeah.
That's branding. That's you, like, you know, building a model of yourself.
Yeah.
Look, this is me. I won't tolerate this.
But yeah, like going back to your question, like 10 years ago, what got me through them, you know, if I had a bad week at work, I couldn't say, oh, it was the kids that gave me strength and stuff. That's a really hard question, to be honest. I was probably more leaning towards the living for the weekend sort of thing.
Yeah.
Rather than
the escape. Sort of.
Yeah. I had to work to provide a lifestyle. It wasn't a glam lifestyle by any means, but it was just our like little lifestyle. I just felt like I had to do it. Otherwise, what was the alternative? You're living in the... And even over the last 2 years, there's been times where I've seriously contemplated just giving everything up.
Yeah.
And just thinking, I will just go on the camp. There was times where I just felt like I couldn't do what I was saying I could do earlier, like compartmentalize and put it in the pots, where all my pots were overflowing. And it came to the point where I was like, I'm fighting so hard to do the right and proper thing, to put the food on the... Clearly, I'm not doing it right or doing it to the best, because I'm still not loaded with money and going on holidays all the time. And yeah, it's
That's
very...
the thing within the South. Like, you know, you're an hard working person, you're working hard.
Yeah.
And you just look around, you're like, where's the rewards?
Yeah. Because even when you pay a mortgage, you don't see any, like you literally, every month that you get paid, the way I see it, it's one brick. You pay a brick every month.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're going to, by the end of your life, you're probably only paid up until the top of the windowsill or something. Like if you look at, and you don't see it. Yeah, you get to live in a nice house, but equally, there has been times where I thought, just buy an acre on a farm and put a bloody caravan in there and just enjoy life, not the hustle.
I think the hustle is a big thing. A lot of people, I think, especially for men. I think for men, it's that I think there's a lot of added social pressure of, especially nowadays, like some of the things you see on you know, other platforms, added pressure of you've got to earn so much money. Now, I know I've got where I am because of what I've done, like with roofing, and it's afforded me this home. But I look at the people now, like the younger generation, especially, and to be honest, it's probably boring. I think most people cover this, but they can't afford to buy things. You know what I mean? They can't afford to buy a house. They can't afford to. I mean, they rent, which is, you know, that's fine, but
we're living more in a culture where you don't need to buy. Because I've never seen so many nice cars around the streets. You got 17-year-old kids, Mercs and BMWs, but they don't own them. No. They're all on lease.
Because it's that social stigma.
Yes.
Look in the park.
Yeah. So
that's not new.
Yeah, but that's
been around forever.
But my dad had his own house and had his own car. Whereas I lease my car and I rent my house because of my circumstance. Because everything's so costly and you're tied into so much.
Yeah.
Like, do I like leasing a car? No. Do I like renting a house? No. I've only just started renting. Like, I was proud to have a mortgage.
Yeah.
And this is the best that I can do at the moment. And again, it comes down to the kids, whereas just getting a roof over their heads.
Yeah.
So
having somewhere to come to, yours to stay.
I agree with you and I disagree with you. I think there's other things that there is pressure, but I think in 10, 20 years time, I think there's going to be equal pressure on women now. But for a man, from 50 years ago, his only competition was a few other men. He's now also got to compete with women that are equally as good as well. So the market's getting more crowded and competitive. So it's like it's a dogfight at times. Like, even the interview process I've just been through, it's like you're there. Like I felt like I was fighting for my life because I could have stayed at my job and earned the money, but if I want to provide my kids with better, I need to fight for this.
Yeah,
I need it. So,
but that alone, for the men that I've spoke to in the last few years since I've started Healthy Mental, it's that, and we're afforded the luxury of being older.
Mm.
You know, these young men coming through, coming dads, money's just not there. You know, the cost of living is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They're not earning the wages.
Yeah,
we're in a luxury position of we're skilled in what we do, so we can charge a certain amount. And these youngsters coming out, you know, the stress. So some of the studies I've looked at talking about male suicide, number one always seems to be relationships, and then it tends to go down either money, not being able to provide.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
And
not just because of the physical not being able to provide, the emotional as a man, as like a caveman, not being able to provide for your kids.
It's demoralizing. It's heartbreaking.
So about 2 months ago, over in Hucklecote Church, I'm at a food bank getting food for my kids. I'm crying my eyes out in there. Unfortunately, next to alcoholics and I'm really poor guys, and I'm here thinking, I'm on a good wage, like I'm making good money. I mean, how have I ended up in a food bank? I cried my eyes out, and it was, you think, I can't work any harder, and yet it's still not enough. I go to work, not because I love it and I enjoy it, to put food on the table, and yet I'm there in a food bank.
Yeah, mad, isn't it?
And I will say, just separately to the conversation, these volunteers that do these food banks and that is a real lifeline to the community. So when you see these bins at the end of the Aldi, you know, and you can, even the tins of beans and stuff like that, it's going to people in the community, the local community. So I'm just taking this opportunity. If any of them ever hear anything, like, they really like saved me. Like that week, they saved me. They saved someone local that they,
and they wouldn't even know it.
No,
they just bought an extra thing, put it into it, and went about their day.
Yeah, but they put food on my table that week.
Yeah.
So thank you to, if anyone's ever hearing it and does volunteering in that, whether you either put something in the bin at the end of the aisle or whatever, or you actually volunteering, I just want to say thank you.
Shout out to those.
Yes.
Holler. I think there's a big stigma around food banks. I think people have this idea that, like you said, of the street coming in and getting food, and it's just not the case. Like you said, you know, you earn good money. You know, you've been about your career for a while, and you're doing that. Like, what is the state of society coming to where people can't afford basic amenities now? It's even like gas and electric. I know that's totally off peaceful, but you know, like old people, you hear about old people turning off their gas because they can't afford to eat or warm themselves. I suppose what I'm trying to point out there. So like, go back to what we was talking about. I remember me and Mrs. You know, you've been to it. That little poxy flat I had. Like, I was in there like 16 years old. Like, I had to run the house. At the time I lived there, I was thinking I was young, like my pad, like that. And then it was like, God, this is tough. Like, job was not even a year and a bit. So I wasn't on mega money. It was like labor money.
But again, Shane,
do you know what I mean?
A lot of this conversation keeps coming back to like growth. Like when you can reflect and then you grow, don't you? You're earning or you're learning, yeah. How long was you in that maisonette? It's 10 years. 10 years. If you went back there now, with the knowledge and everything that you've got and possess now,
what? Go back to a younger Shane, but like with the mentality and everything that I know now.
Yeah. How long would you be in that maisonette for?
Another 10 years.
Do you reckon? I reckon.
Well, that place was the bomb.
I
You know
know.
that was the
Yeah.
best place. Everyone on the boxing nights.
I know, but
Don't get me wrong, right? I know what you're saying. I had to experience that
to grow.
to be where I am today.
And this
right?
is like what I was saying.
Everything that I've been through, personally, professionally, whatever, has got me to here,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And I've been blessed with an amazing woman next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And some great friends,
Mm.
right? I would say I'm one of the lucky ones to be able to come through. Like, I don't get me wrong, like at certain stages, like with the next girlfriend, I racked up some serious debt, like serious debt. No, I think it was close to 30 grand.
Yeah.
Right. So young man, 30 grand hanging on my head. I ended that relationship. That was done and dusted. I'm thinking, what the fuck? Where am I going? What am I going to do here? And I was lucky, Mrs. and she's a real one. My head down, she's got me sorted. Not everyone's as blessed as that.
No, and so
that's two things. So
yeah.
that relationship.
Yeah.
So coming out of a relationship which I thought was going to last forever, and being stupidly in debt.
That goes back
that
to
could
the.
have gone very, very differently.
Well, when you just said you've done the studies on men's suicide, number one was relationships,
Yeah.
which you just covered. Number two was money, and you've just covered. So that was two occasions where you could have given up,
Could
and
have
you
easily
just
given up.
you've rolled your sleeves up. You've got help from a good lady,
Yeah.
but equally, yeah, she might have wiped your ass a little bit, but you've got through that yourself
Yeah.
as well.
Don't
Like
get me wrong.
you could have taken that money and gambled it more, or spent it on just crap. So yes, she has helped you. She's opened the door for you, but you've walked through
don't
it.
get me wrong.
Yeah.
We fight our own demons.
Yeah.
You know, you can have the support around you.
Yeah. But you can choose to ignore that support.
Exactly. You know, you can quite easily go the other way. Someone I was talking to the other day, and we was on about people. You know, you look at all these celebrities, right? So you look on them, you think they got everything: money, fame, everything, and you know they take their own life, and you're like,
Yeah. But you even I saw a Mike Tyson interview as well, and he was saying like he was the happiest when he was inside prison. There was like routine and like there was none of the, you know, I think having good people around you and just even like him as an example.
All the best sports people that have gone on to do like amazing things. You look at their stuff, they've got great support network.
But even you don't even have to do greatness though. Like at the
I just mean I'm just trying to say like it's the support network around you.
But like I wouldn't say I'm not great. At the moment, I've just been surviving. I'm on survival mode. But like yourself, I've got a support network.
Yeah.
And because of my support network, I'm here sat talking to you. Without my support network, I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be having this conversation. So I'm not there saying I've got everything. Like I've got nothing. Yeah. But I got my kids, I got my support network, and I do think having people around you is the most important thing. When people are going through, whether it's work, like personal, your football team's just lost or whatever, having a good support network is vital because even if you're in the rightest of minds, you might make a decision not based on facts. It might be based on emotion. Like we've touched on the work side of things, like trying to base things on facts, and it doesn't get me upset because I put it in that little pot. Having people around you to bounce them thoughts around, and they might just give you a little nugget that go, actually, I wasn't thinking about it in that way. I was thinking about it in this way. And actually, even if you're on survival mode, it just gets you through that next day. And then the next morning you can wake up and vent. And it might be the same shit. And they might, you know, they could even turn around and say, Rick, I've done this 3, 4, 5, 6 times with you now. Come on, like, I can't keep doing that. But they will.
Yeah.
They will,
Yeah.
you know, and the real ones will. The real
How many
ones,
bollocks have I give you?
too many. But
You know, that's a good point. Like, if you think of the times you've
I've said the same thing
said
to
to me,
you.
like, oh, I don't, you know, I don't want to keep bothering you. I don't
Yeah.
want to keep pestering you. And it's that mentality where you think you're a hindrance.
Yeah.
And you think you're just, you know, getting in the way of people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
But now, you know, and
I know, I still think that, but in general, that's still in my mind. I think I've still got a lot of work to do within myself
yeah, of
with
course.
counseling and stuff like that.
But that's different.
But you've
That's
made
different.
this house an extension and your family an extension, how you've been. And that's when you're saying a support network, that's exactly it to a T.
Yeah.
You know, same as like how family have been and things like that.
But it's the same things they say. It's like,
But they might
you're
say
not
it
a
in a
hindrance.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
not like, what do you mean I didn't want to bother you?
Hmm.
What sort of shit's that? If you were bothering me, I would tell you, mate,
Yeah,
you're bothering me.
yeah. It's very hard though. I'll just use the example of like say the week that I went to the food bank. You question yourself.
You went to the food bank for a whole week.
No, I went to get the food,
Because that's just
and
greedy, then.
which then set me up for the week. But you do question it.
Nah, I
Like
get it.
I was low anyway.
I get it.
That could have been a like a nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And then you do question yourself, and then it's you get all the other thoughts, and that's when the reoccurring things that like then your brain goes and does all the bad habits, and then it's things like yeah, just a hindrance. So then, even though you've told me 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, I'll then go, yeah, but I didn't want to bother you.
Yeah.
It's because things happen, and the progress that you make might then get reset. There's been times where I've taken 2 steps, 3 steps forward, and then I've gone to you, yeah, but I didn't want to bother you. Because you see it on some of the other platforms, like progress isn't a straight line or a, you know, diagonally up. It is up and down.
Yeah.
It's day by day. And some again, survival mode, taking one day at a time. I'm going to be telling you another 3 or 4, like in 3 months' time, I'm going to be saying, oh, I don't want to be a hindrance. And you're going to have the same
To
conversation.
beat you up again.
Yeah. But you also know then there might be triggers and things like that, well, why is he saying he's a hindrance? What's happened for him to say that again? Because we got past this. And there's things like that that just saying about like you, Mikey, John, like family and that, like having good support around saves lives. It really is. And if men can keep talking to each other and keep being each other's support network, that's only a great thing.